I want to thank everybody for being with us tonight. Virginia, do you want to start us off with a wonderful introduction?
Absolutely. Good evening, everybody. I'm Virginia Brissett. I am the president and CEO of the Jewish Council located in Gainesville, Florida. It is my pleasure to represent the Southern Alliance for Jewish Education and welcoming you to the third and final session of the Jewish Language of Ladino, a Cultural Memory with Rivka Amado. The Southern Alliance for Jewish Education, or SAGE as we call it, is an informal collection of Jewish congregations and other organizations who network to share program ideas and opportunities. This Jewish Culture Series is the fourth webinar that we have hosted together as a group over this past year. I want to welcome our new guests tonight and to thank those who've been following us through this series. If you missed the first or second session, no worries, we will have a recording and we will upload it to YouTube and let you know when it's available. Just as a reminder, starting this weekend is another offering from SAGE, which is the United States of Sepharad, Savoring Sephardic Recipes Across America, with Sarah Gardner, who is a PhD student at the University of Minnesota. You may remember her from the series that we did with her this past October. It is being hosted by Temple Israel of Boston, and the Southern Alliance for Jewish Education is tagging along for fun. It'll go this Sunday and then March 6th and 13th at 4 o'clock on Zoom. If you appreciate these Jewish learning opportunities that have been organized by SAGE, please consider making a donation to any of the sponsoring organizations who made this program possible. They are B'nai Israel Congregation and Temple of Israel in Wilmington, North Carolina, Temple Beth-El and Temple Emanu-El of Birmingham, Alabama, the Tommaso family of Augusta, Georgia, and the Jewish Council of Gainesville, Florida. So I am now turning it over to Rabbi Bender for a blessing, I believe. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
So our blessing for studying Torah together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav tzivanu asok b'divrei Torah. Ow is not a part of that. Would you want to provide the translation, Rabbi Emily?
Absolutely. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who has commanded us to engage in the study of Torah and the study of our people. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
It is such a blessing to be able to welcome Rivka, our friend Dr. Amado, with us for this third evening, this third session. Rivka Amado, or our friend Riva, as we can call her, is a lecturer, musician, a yoga teacher who specialized in Judeo-Spanish music, culture, and history. She focuses on Sephardic women's songs and spiritual expression. She has been such a delight to all of us, and we are really blessed to have an opportunity to get into her life a little bit as well. And so with that, Rivka, we'd like to turn it over to you, and just so excited to be able to learn from you this evening. Thank you so much.
You, and it's wonderful to see all of you again and to continue with our joint journey in the exploration of the Sephardic music and poetry. And today, which is the last session, is going to be devoted to learning about the two last clusters of the Sephardic music, which is the Koplas and the liturgical song. But before we go over, I would like to start with a song which called La Rosa en Florenza, but also there is another name for this, Los Bilbilicos. It is a love song and that describe the suffering of a lost love. And the lyric were probably written in the north part of actually France in the late 14th century. And the same melody was adopted to a piyut, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, which called the blessing after the meal, or tzur mishelo achalnu. Now, the same melody, it's really important to note here that the same melody also appears at the flamenco dance, which called La Petanera, and which originated in Cadiz. And Gracia Lorca, which is, famous Sephardic, not Sephardic, but Spaniard poet, he wrote the lyric to this melody. And the poem is based on a Spanish tale about a beautiful, wealthy Sephardic woman who was the object of many men's passion, but she rejected all of them. But one man couldn't stand the rejection, and he eventually, because he was so jealous, he eventually killed her. So it's very interesting to use this song as an example of the collaboration, or I would say the coexistence that happened at that time between Jews and flamenco artists. And obviously they shared a lot of, their agonies, a lot of their tribulations, and this was expressed in musical exchange and in their music. So let's sing it to you. It's called La Rosa en Florencia o Los Bilbilicos.
Okay.
La rosa en flores en el mes de mayo, mi alma se oscurece sufriendo del amor. Mi alma se oscurece sufriendo del amor. Los bilbilicos cantan del árbol de la flor, de a paso se asentan los que sufren del amor. De a paso se asentan los que sufren del amor. שלוחנו ברכו אמוני ספנו ואותנו כדבר אדוני ספנו ואותנו כדבר אדוני. עשן את עולמו, רואה אבינו, אכלנו את לחמו, וינו שתינו. אכלנו את לחמו, וינו שתינו. Okay, so let me put the PowerPoint now. All right. So we are going to talk about the coplas, which is actually it's the next genre in the Ladino repertoire that was originated in the 17th century as a type of a poem that recorded with the intention of preserving religious knowledge and also emphasizing the ties to Judaism and to strengthen the connection to the Holy Land. So the prime educational purpose was to inform the less knowledgeable people in the community that who lacked the access to Hebrew sources, or the rabbinical literature, to educate them about various aspects of Jewish history, about the Sephardic tradition. So we might ask the question, okay, so what's the difference between the ballads and the coplas? So unlike the ballads, which mostly the content was imported, from other European community, and it was not the sole content that belonged, or the ownership that belonged to the Jewish people. The coplas is really it's a self-creation. It's the creation of the Sephardim about Jewish tradition, about history from antiquity to the present. It's about describing social and political events that took place in the Sephardic history. So, learning the coplas allow the Sephardim also to use them in different festivities. So we have copla for Purim, we have coplas for Tu B'Shvat, we have coplas for Hanukkah. So it was another way of again reminding the community about past historical or even biblical stories. Some of the coplas were coming from the Midrashim and from the Talmudic sources and the Agadot.
Rivka, I just want to interrupt 1 second. We're not seeing your slides. I didn't know if you had the slides up.
For some reason, it says you are viewing Rabbi Lozman Ostrov's screen, so I wonder if for some reason it thinks you're sharing.
Oh, maybe I'm not sharing. Oh, wow. So you should have stopped me earlier. Okay, let me do the sharing and then.
Rabbi Bender, are you seeing anything on your? Okay, there we go.
Oh yeah. Before it said you are viewing your screen, but now I see this. Yeah.
Okay.
I sorry. I thought for some reason there was some error on my screen. That's why I didn't say something.
Okay. All right. Now you see. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. Good. All right. Good. So okay. So many of the coplas they have been published as mostly in the 17th, 18th century in two major community center. One is in Constantinople in Turkey, and one in Saloniko, and but also in other cities like Vienna, and Livorno in Italy. So let me go to the other one. Yeah. So this guy, Alberto Gemsi, you can see him here in the picture. He was the most famous collector and writer of coplas. He was born in 1897 in Turkey, and he collected many coplas from informant. That it's very similar to what people are doing today, that they go to old ladies who learn songs from their grandmothers and trying to record it and keep it, in the library as an authentic source of Ladino songs. So that's what he was doing. He was traveling in many Sephardi communities across the Balkans. And he was able to collect 200 songs, 60 of which he published through 10 volumes of which called Coplas Sephardi. And the first 5 volumes of the Coplas were published in Alexandria in Egypt from 1932 to 1938. And then the last 5, it was in French, actually. He published it in French, which was 1969 to 73. And the pause between these two areas, because of the Holocaust and the devastation and the extermination of the Jews, a lot of Sephardim, especially in Salonika, that were killed by the Nazis. So. So what I wanted to share with you today is one copla which called La Cantica de Fuego. Let me see if I have it here. Yeah. It is about the great fire in Salonika. And before telling you about the story of this great fire, and I have the lyrics soon for you, but before, let me go to the song, and I want you to listen. I have a clip from YouTube I want you to listen to. So just a second.
Día de Shabbat, mi madre, la Rivka Amado, fuego, salió el agua nueva y a la torre blanca quedó. Fuego, salió el agua nueva, a la torre blanca quedó. Tanto pobres como ricos, todos seamos un igual, que vivimos arrastrando por campos y por islas, que vivimos arrastrando por campos y por islas. Pusieron unos jardines que del aire se volaban, muy bien, trajeron un pan amargo y con agua no se va. Muy bien, trajeron un pan amargo y con agua no se palomas van volando, haciendo destrucción. Y aquel que vivimos arrastrando sin tener abrigación. Y aquel que vivimos arrastrando sin tener abrigación.
Okay, so that's just a sample of this beautiful song. By the way, the song is sang by a Spaniard singer, El Qaeda. Her name is El Qaeda, and she has really nice interpretation of Sephardic songs. So okay, let's go back to the story of the song, the Great Fire in Salonika. It happened on August 18, 1917. The song actually was written in the aftermath of the Great Fire of Salonika. And incidentally, the fire happened on Shabbat, Latadre. And it means Latadre, it means in Shabbat afternoon. And this event was especially destructive in scale because the fire, first of all, the fire left tens of thousands of Jews homeless. And most of the Jewish neighborhood in the old city were destroyed, including areas of commerce and libraries and synagogues and schools. And almost 30 synagogues were destroyed, including the chief rabbinate. And basically the fire itself played a catalyst role in ending an era of Jewish life in Salonika, which is really tragic and very sad. And the Greek authorities view the fire devastation as an opportunity to rebuild the city, and according to their interest. And rather than returning the damages or to compensate for the damages to the owner, to the former owners, all these properties were auctions, and a lot of the Jewish families who owned the land, they couldn't afford rebuying it. So this, that's part of what else is new. Yeah, that's the way the Jews were treated along the history. And then eventually the Jewish community was gradually declining, and then the end of this Jewish community in Salonika was 90% of the Jews who remained. They were killed in Auschwitz by the Nazi. So here is the, it's not here. Let me see, where is the, no, I don't know why I don't have the lyrics here. Okay, anyway, let me tell you a little bit about the lyrics of the Kopla. As I said, the Kopla offer a commentary about a political event or historical event, and it's about what they wanted to emphasize about this particular Kopla, and that's how they wanted to educate the Sephardim on their children and their great-grandchildren, is that the cause of the fire was the sin of not observing Shabbat. So, and that's how it's written, los pecados. Pecados, it means the sin, los pecados, the Shabbat. And that's actually God manifestation, God anger manifestation. So the fire started in a quarter, and the name of the quarter was called Agua Nueva. And then it expanded through the city until the White Tower, which is Bea Kule. And it's like they mentioned it in the Copla also, that it was the affected Jews were not only the rich but also the poor. So it was like tanta pobres como ricos. It means both Jews, rich Jews and rich Sephardim and poor Sephardim. Their houses were burned, and so that's that's one way to transfer a message about a historical event that Jews were exposed to. And of course, they're trying to find what's the cause of this event. And usually, if they don't have the obvious answer, then they say, okay, it's God punishment. And the lesson, of course, is that we have to be more observant. We have to keep the faith. We have to keep the religion practices, etc., etc. And so there is a strong hidden education message down there. Okay, another Kopla that describe the birth of Avraham Avinu. And now this time it's sort of like a legendary story. And when we talk about legendary, it means that it's here it is. It's about that we don't know if this is a real story or not, but it's like Cuando el rey Nimrod, when King Nimrod, when he was traveling, walking in his vineyard, in his campo, he saw a sign in the sky, and the sign was that Avraham Avinu is going to be born. So he was actually terrified by this, because he knew that Avraham Avinu is going to take over, or get rid of him and take over his power. And so he commanded to kill all newborns boy. But the mother, which is la mujer de Terach, Terach was the father of Abraham. La mujer, it means the wife of Terach. When she was pregnant, and of course she didn't want to follow King Nimrod's command, so she went to. She was looking for a me'ara. Me'ara is, first of all, the word is from Hebrew, but it's also part of the Ladino language. Me'ara, which is a cave. She found the me'ara, where she gave birth to Avraham Avinu, and she left the baby there. And the legend, of course, is that the goddess took care of him until he grew up to be the founder of all nations. So let me share this song with you. Cuando el rey Nimrod al campo salía, miraba el cielo en la estrella, vi la luz santa en la judería, que había de nacer Abraham Avinu. Avram Avinu, Padre querido, Padre bendito, luz de Israel. Avram Avinu, Padre bendito, Padre querido, luz de Israel. La mujer entera que quedó premiada, día en el día él la preguntaba, ¿de qué tenés la cara tan demudada? Ella ya sabía el bien que tenía. Avram Avinu, Padre querido, Padre bendito, luz de Israel. Avram Avinu, Padre querido, Padre bendito, luz de Israel. Luz de Israel. Okay. So now we are going to move to the liturgical songs, and as you probably know, liturgical okay. The liturgical are mostly what we call the prayer chanting, and it refers mostly to musical performance that is done by a cantor. By the way, I forgot to mention at the beginning of my presentation today that the ballads and the canticas were mostly performed by women, but the coplas and the liturgical song were mostly performed by men. You know, so there is a clear distinction between, it was sort of like a gender distinction between women and men in terms of who perform the Ladino repertoire. So in terms of the liturgical, it's mostly, you know, done by cantors at synagogues. You know, it's like the text of the Jewish prayer. And some of the liturgical songs were, you know, they appear in the Siddur, and they were sung during Shabbat, during other festivals, the new moon prayers, and also it's connected also to the piyutim, and you know, you already know that the piyutim are prayers that are done before the actual prayer, because if you want to bring intention, pure intention to the actual prayer, like the Amidah, for example, so you start with the piyut that help you with the, okay. Just a second. So I choose to bring you a prayer that all of you probably are familiar with. It's called Em Keloenu, and it's usually sung near the end of the morning service, especially in Shabbat and festivities. And what I brought here, I brought actually two versions of this song. One is the one that's coming from Turkey, and the other one is from Morocco. So I want to share with you the two versions, which are quite different, and if you know, you can sing with me. En Keloheinu, en Kadonenu, en Kemalkeinu, en Kemoshienu, non como nuestro Dios, non como nuestro Señor, non como nuestro Rey, non como nuestro Salvador. Salvador, Salvador. Ike Eloheinu, Ike Adonenu, Ike Malkeinu, Ike Moshienu, quien como nuestro Dios, quien como nuestro Señor, quien como nuestro Rey, quien como nuestro Salvador. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshienu. Lo haremos a nuestro Dios, lo haremos a nuestro Señor, lo haremos a nuestro Rey, lo haremos a nuestro Salvador. Okay, so that's one version. Now we're going to move to the Moroccan version, which is in a minor key. Before it was a major, this is a minor, more melancholic. Non como nuestro Dios, non como nuestro Señor, non como nuestro Rey, non como nuestro Salvador. Lo haremos nuestro Dios, lo haremos nuestro Señor, lo haremos nuestro Rey, lo haremos a nuestro Salvador. I'm very curious to know from the audience whether they are familiar with these tunes, if they heard it before.
I've never heard the second one that you did, but the first one, and Rabbi Bender wrote the same thing that I was saying.
Yeah. Okay, good. Wonderful.
I see, Gabriel, you turned on your screen. Did you have a response? If you want to unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry, it's a noisy house too. So I've never heard it before either, though, but I love it. It's wonderful.
Okay. There is another liturgical song that I want to share with you, which is, in fact, again, I don't have it on the screen, I'm sorry, but I can tell you about it a little bit. It's actually a wedding song, and it's about how the bride and the groom are going, to the wedding hall, and why I decided to sing it to you under this category, because it's the melody for this song is the melody for Adon Olam, and you are probably familiar with many versions of Adon Olam, and so, but this one is quite different. So I would like to share it with you. It's called Ventanas Altas. Tirilai, hop, tirilai, opa. Tirilai, hop, tirilai, opa. Tirilai, hop, tirilai, opa. Tirilai, hop, tirilai, opa. Ventanas altas tienes tú, con velas amarillas, esta noche me subas arriba, esta noche que me subas arriba. Tirilai, tirilai, opa. Tirilai, tirilai, opa. Adon Olam asher malach, בטרם כל יציר נברא, להתנסה בחפץ הכל. אזי מלך שמו נקרא, להתנסה בחפץ הכל. אזי מלך שמו נקרא, תירילאי, תירילאי, הופה. Tirilai, tirilai, hopa. Tirilai, tirilai, hopa. Tirilai, tirilai, hopa. ואחרי ככלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה, והוא עובר, והוא יהיה תפארה. והוא ילד תפארה. היי, תירילאי, תירילאי, הופה. תירילאי, תירילאי, הופה. תירילאי, תירילאי, הופה. תירילאי, תירילאי, הופה. Okay. All right, so there is another song that now I think I have it here. Let me go here. Yeah, this song, it's called the Esta Montaña, which let me see if I have the. Yeah. It's a sort of like a love song. Let me put the slide of the translation. Yeah, so then you can see the. It's going to be more meaningful to you. So it's a song. It's a love song, which on the surface it laments the decline of love, but mystically is a reflection on the fate of the Jewish people for abandoning God. So it's a sort of like a recurrent issue. We saw it first in the Cantica del Fuego, and now in this song. But I choose to put it under liturgical song and not under the coplas, even though it can be part of the coplas. And I'll tell you in a minute why. Anyway, so the song is really it's about the destruction of the Jewish people. The singer is heartbroken, and he sits and cries for his loss, and he agonized over the jasmine tree, which is a jasmine tree which he planted, and he took care of the plant. He watered the plant. He gave fertilization to this plant, but nevertheless he didn't enjoy the plant. Other people now enjoying this plant. So his sorrow is so great that only God can witness. And the metaphoric for God in this particular poem are the sky and the sea, and the trees are the quills or the pens with which God, writes out the fate of the world. So the puzzle here is that all these metaphors, they come from a biblical text, but the question is if this song is like really a kina, which they sang it in, or lamentation, which they sang it in Tisha B'Av, and or did the biblical verses inspire the poet to write a love song? So again, it's like using biblical metaphors to express the pain, which is a sort of like a universal pain, and it's the pain of, it's all, I would say, it's not only of the Jewish people, but in this particular, it's a Sephardic expression of the pain that associated with love, but it's really the pain that the Jews were experiencing all along history. So, and here's the Ladino, esta montaña del frente, and what the metaphor that he's using here is in Ladino, which we can remember this. Los árboles, escribir, el cielo, por papel, la mar, quiero por tinta. All these are very powerful metaphors. Okay, so let me sing it for you. Esta montaña del frente siento y va quemando. Ay, Petría, mi amor, la siento llorando. Ay, Petría, mi amor, la siento llorando. Arbolito de yo lo embrandecí, yo lo encendí a mi huerta. Yo lo crecí, yo lo engrandecí. Otros están gozando. Yo lo crecí, yo lo engrandecí. Otros están gozando. Okay. So if I want to summarize the class today and I would say the entire workshop, I would say that Ladino, of course, was the language, and it's still the language of the Sephardim, and that was formed or emerged after the expulsion from Spain in 1492. We explored in this workshop the different, a little bit the evolution of the language and the four main categories of the musical repertoire. And what we learn is that Ladino really served a powerful force in keeping the community alive and preserving the culture, both the language and the music. It helped the Sephardim to connect to their historical roots in Spain, and they are still yearning for these, memories. And overall, it's really about Ladino music. It's about also creativity and adaptability, because we know that over the years in the diaspora, which is, the exile after they left Spain, they continue to create songs, to write music, which help them to keep and to grow into this, with this culture. And today, I want to say that there is an intense effort to keep the culture alive, mostly through the music, but there is also a surprising expression of vitality in terms of organizing educational programs, young Israelis taking classes. In Ladino, they want to learn the language. There are many, many festivals, musical festivals in Ladino. They are very popular, especially in the Dead Sea. They gather actually right now in the months of January, February. There are many festivals, and it seems that musically it's very much a lived culture. In terms of the language, as I said, there is some interest, but unlike the Yiddish, which still surviving mostly because of the ultra-Orthodox group in Israel, the Haredi groups, the Ladino is not. It's in a way it's a dying language, because very few people speak the language right now, and the old generation is unfortunately passing away. So as I said in this slide, is the big question remains: is this cultural heritage is just a nostalgic remnant of the past that has lost its life, or is it a living force through which the past not only survive but also influences the present? So that's actually a big question that I don't have an answer. One thing I can tell you, that if you go to Israel right now, and if you are looking for some entertainment in Ladino, there are plenty of groups that perform the traditional Ladino. There is actually one musical which is called the Sephardi Garden, which it's been around forever, and it's still very popular, and still many people are watching it. Keep going to the halls. It's in a Bima. Bima is the major theater in Tel Aviv. So obviously, this revival had some impact on the Israeli society, because people that were not familiar with this culture, right now they are obviously more familiar with. I can tell you that as a child, when we grow up, my parents were trying to actually deny their connection to the Ladino culture, because this was the dogma at that time in Israel, that you only have to speak Hebrew. You're not supposed to be nostalgic about your roots and just forget about the place that you came from. You are now an Israeli, and that's what you have to teach or educate your kids also. They're Israelis and they're supposed to speak only Hebrew. So this was the current, I would say, the trend at that time. But now, interesting, this is over, and the acknowledgement or the recognition of the contribution of the Sephardic culture to the Israeli society, or to the shaping of the Israeli culture, is finally in the right place. And also now people learning about the Holocaust, that it's not only belong to Eastern Europe, it's also belong to the Sephardim as well, the Holocaust, especially in Greek. So yeah, so that's what I have to say. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. And before I say goodbye, I want to sing to you another song about it's a prayer. It's called Oseh Shalom, that you're probably familiar with other tunes. But this tune was taken from the Sephardic congregation in Amsterdam. It's an old Sephardic song, which I'm going to sing it to you. But first, let's hear the questions, if there are some.
And of course, Rivka, we want to thank you. So everybody, please, let's show our gratitude. This has been incredible. I have learned so much, just really joyous. And even the sad songs were joyous to me to learn all about it. So thank you. And can't wait to learn even more and to keep this with me. Just looking to see in the chat if there were any questions. If anybody has a question that you want to ask, you can raise your hands, or we can call on you. And Rivka, if you don't mind, if it's still okay, you'll send us the slides and we can send out to everybody. That's okay?
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great. So if you send them, I know people wanted to read those. And then also, if anybody wants to be in touch with you personally, we can give out your email address as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Email,
great.
you can give my phone number, or I can write it in my chat here.
Okay, great. Just wonderful. I hope you will see in the chat all the kind comments and all the enjoyment as well that we're all feeling. Well, if anybody has any questions, again, please feel free to ask. But I think we're just not asking because we want to hear you sing Oseh Shalom. So, which is such a great way to send us out from this wonderful opportunity. And really want to thank everyone for coming together. I know some of you belong to some of the sponsoring congregations or organizations. Others of you just heard about the program, and we really hope that you'll join us for other SAGE events, as well as make sure to join Rivka, and we will make sure to also send out a way that if anybody wants one of her CDs, you'll be able to get that. And also make sure you look her up on YouTube, because she's got some great stuff on there as well. This has really been so wonderful. And Rivka, if you'll sing us out with Oseh Shalom, what a great way to end this 3 weeks.
And I'm sending here, this prayer of Oseh Shalom, just God bring us peace in our hearts, in our families, in our communities. Shalom for the entire Yoshvei Tevel, as they say, from the entire world, which we need right now a lot. Yeah. Okay. Shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imenu. Shalom bimrava uyaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. Amen. Thank you.
So beautiful. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.